Good morning, dear students. In today's session, we will discuss about the design concept or the design procedure of journal bearing. So, welcome to this session. So, in the while designing a journal bearing, so there are some of the terms or the notations that we have to aware with that or know. So, the first notation is D, diameter of the shaft, that is denoted by means of the notation lowercase letter d, and C, lowercase letter c, that is the radial clearance, and which is calculated if it is not given as the radius of the bearing minus radius of the journal or the shaft. Radial clearance ratio, that is denoted by means of C by R. So this is also an important parameter which is required while designing the bearing or journal bearing. Next, CD, capital C suffix D, that is the diameter clearance, which is the difference between the diameter of the bearing and diameter of the shaft. And diameter clearance ratio is given by CD by D. CD by D, diameter clearance ratio, so which is denoted by means of the notation psi. And this is also called as relative clearance. Relative clearance. So this value is as good as or equal to C by R. If I substitute CD in terms of C means that will be 2 times C, and D in terms of R means 2 times R. So 2 gets cancelled. So CD by D is equal to C by R. So C by R and CD by D both are same. This value and this value, both ratios they are same, but only the thing is we have to substitute half of the diameter clearance divided by half of the diameter of the journal, and here diameter clearance divided by diameter of the shaft. So the resulting value is same for radial clearance ratio as well as diameter clearance ratio. And the next one is the notation which is Z here, so which is indicating the dynamic viscosity or absolute viscosity, and whose unit is Newton second per meter square, or we can also use another notation, that is Newton per meter square is Pascal and second. So Pascal second, and this may be in terms of centipoises also. Suppose if it is in centipoise, so we have to multiply that value by 1000 to get the value in Newton second per meter square. So 10 raised to 3 centipoise, or simply poise, or usually used with the centipoise notation. So centipoise, so that is equal to 1 Newton second per meter square. And n is rpm speed, and lowercase letter n is used here, which is converted of value of rpm to rps, so that is nothing but n by 60. And bearing pressure p, that is w by l into d, and t naught be the operating temperature or the working temperature, and tb be the bearing temperature, and Ta be the ambient temperature, or we can say it as a room temperature. So that value is around about 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. And F is UF, or coefficient of friction. So which is if it is a lightly loaded bearing, then we have to use Petrov's equation. If it is non-lightly loaded or it is heavily loaded, means in that case we have to go for Mackey's coefficient of friction equation. And C be the bearing modulus, so which is given by capital Z, that is absolute viscosity multiplied by rpm divided by pressure P. So this is rpm value, right? And so these are the some of the important notations. So to these notations we have to proceed with the concept of design or design procedure that we have to follow here. So the very first step here is you have to note down the recommended values. Say for example, if the bearing which is to be designed, so that may be main bearing, or that may be a wrist bearing or crank pin bearing. In that situation, whether is it used for a, or which type of machine or the machine member that uses this journal bearing. Say for example, if the bearing which is to be designed for a centrifugal pump, or a steam turbine, or a any other reciprocating pump, like that there are different machineries. So with respect to that, we have to note down the recommended values. So if it is related to the complete design of the journal bearing. So there are two cases that we will come across while solving problem that we will discuss. Now let us consider the general procedure itself. So we have to, in the first step, we have to select the recommended values. Recommended values for the given type of bearing and machine. So bearing is either main bearing or wrist bearing or crank bearing. And machine may be centrifugal pump or reciprocating pump, or it may be a steam turbine, or it may be any other, or pressure, like that, any other machine. So with respect to the given machine and with respect to the given bearing type, we have to refer table number 15.7 of the data handbook from page number 366. From page number 366, there we have to note down all the recommended values. So what are the recommended values here? One is maximum pressure. So this value may be in the form of range, or it may be given directly. And another one is the absolute viscosity. Absolute viscosity is denoted by Z, and which is having a unit of Newton second per meter square. And next, minimum value of C, so which is recommended here. So minimum it is means the calculated value must be more than the value of C. So C value that will be given directly as which is a Zn by P. So that value is also to be noted. And then C by R, which is nothing but radial clearance ratio. Radial clearance ratio, so that also we have to note down here. And L by D ratio, that is also to be noted. So L by D ratio here, it is noted just to identify whether the given bearing is a short bearing or a square bearing or long bearing. Suppose if L and D both are same, then L by D ratio is equal to 1. If it is more than 1, then it is a short bearing. If it is less than 1, then it is a long bearing. So based upon the ratio, that we can decide whether the given bearing is a short bearing or long bearing or a square bearing. So these are the values that we have to list out. And next thing that we have to go for the design. So while designing, what is the next step that includes here to standardize the values, or the recommended values which are listed in the first step? They are to be considered and they are to be standardized. Say for example, if p value is given in terms of range, say from minimum to maximum, so average value of p or any particular value is to be selected in between those two minimum and maximum values. So this is what the first parameter. Next, determine L and D. So the L by D ratio is given here. So suppose if L value or diameter value is given, means then we have to fix the value of L or D together, or both in some of the cases. Or we have to use the equation of pressure. P is equal to W divided by L into D. So here P max is fixed now. So you have to fix all the values with respect to the range. Suppose if it is 0.2 to 1 Newton per meter square, not 1 Newton per mm square, in that case, here if I select the value as zero point 0.8 Newton per mm square, so this value is to be used here. And we have to get the value of L or D or both together with the known ratio. So ratio is known here and W is also known. So to get the values of L and D. And also we have to check the L by D ratio. So if it is given, if it is not given, say suppose L and D, they are calculated, and you have to get the ratio of that, and it is to be compared with the recommended values of L by D. So suppose if calculated value of L by D is less than recommended value, then the values which are suitable here. So like that we have to proceed. And next step that we have to go for the third step, that is we have to select the oil. See here, there are two kinds of situations that we come across. One is the value of Z is already listed in the first step itself, that is the recommended value. So based upon that, we have to suggest the name of the oil. Name of the oil that we have to suggest here in the third step. Or in some of the cases, what happens, name of the oil may be known. So the known value of oil, you have to get the absolute viscosity or the kinematic viscosity value first. So there are two possibilities with respect to third step. So if it is a general design procedure, then we have to get the name of the oil directly. We have to suggest the name of the oil based upon the value of Z, or that is absolute viscosity. Suppose if it is other kind of problem, This is kind of simply application type of problem where the name of the oil will be given. So suppose if name of the oil is given and viscosity is unknown, in that case we have to use this step also. Say you have to refer the figure number 15.3, page number 352 of data handbook, and there we have got a viscosity temperature chart. So with respect to that viscosity temperature chart, so the operating temperature, based upon the operating temperature value, if it is given, well and good. If it is not given, you have to assume that value in between 60 to 70 or 70 degree centigrade directly, if it is not given. And we have to note down the value of kinematic viscosity. So kinematic viscosity is in terms of centi-stokes, CST. So that centi-stokes is to be converted into meter square per second, So that value, whatever may be the value that is noted, and it is to be multiplied by 10 raised to minus 6 to get the value of zk, that is what kinematic viscosity in meter square per second. After that, we have to go for the calculation of Z. So Z is given by uh, Zk into rho, that is kinematic viscosity multiplied by the mass density. But here you will be getting the value of a specific gravity, so it is to be multiplied by 10 raised to 3 or divided by 10 raised to minus 3. So this is what the equation, or this is what the procedure whenever you know the name of the oil. Name of the oil is known, and with respect to that, you have to go get the value of Zk in centi-stokes. After that, multiplied by 10 raised to minus 6, and then it is to be multiplied by the mass density or specific gravity multiplied by 10 raised to minus 3 or 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to 3. So that is what the first case. So here you have to name the curve if it is unknown. So with respect to that, suppose if operating temperature is known and name of the oil is also known, Zk can be determined. So there are two possible cases here. Either you have to suggest the name, or you have to suggest the value of absolute viscosity. So once you suggest the name or absolute viscosity, suppose one example that is written here. Say suppose if the value of T naught is assumed as 70 degrees centigrade and Z is assumed as 25 Cp, that is centipoise. So recommended value from first step. So which is the equivalent value in terms of Newton second per meter square is, you have to multiply this one by 10 raised to minus 3. 10 raised to minus 3, that is to convert centipoise into Newton second per meter square. So if you want to convert Newton second per meter square, then you have to multiply it by 1000. So there is an equation. So here we have to use Zk. So here we have to assume another value, that is rho, that is specific gravity of the oil, or assumed oil is zero point 0.9. This is referred from table number 15.1. Why 0.9? For 70 degrees centigrade, in most of the cases, the specific gravity value is zero point 0.9 itself, or it is a standard for liquid, you can say. So Zk value that you have to get here, because in the table figure 15.3, along the ordinate we have the value of Zk in centi-stokes. That's why it is essential here. So Z, which is in Newton second per meter square, divided by rho, so that is to be written here as 10 raised to minus 3, 10 raised to minus 3 here. 10 raised to minus 3. So or rho into 1000, so this gives the value of Zk in meter square per second. And also you have to convert it into centi-stoke by dividing the obtained value by 10 raised to minus 6, or by multiplying 10 raised to plus 6. So the answer is in centi-stoke. So that value is 27.7 centi-stoke. So based upon this, we have to suggest the curve or name of the oil. So this is what the procedure that we have to follow. Or the same thing that is written here, say Z is equal to Zk into rho into 10 raised to 3 plus 3. Like that also we can mention. So this is related to the third step. So once the name of the oil or absolute viscosity that is fixed, we have to check the oil whether is it suitable or not. So to check the oil, we have to calculate the bearing modulus. So bearing modulus, that is C calculated, is given by Zn divided by pressure P. Z is in Newton second per meter square, that is Pascal second, and N is in RPM, and pressure P is in Newton per mm square. So by using these three values, we have to get the value of C, which is C calculated. Suppose if this C calculated, this value, if it is greater than the recommended value, which is noted in step 1, so then we can say that oil gives the sufficient film, or confirmed or uniform film thickness in between the journal and the bearing. So that is what complete lubrication is possible. So therefore this can be this oil is suitable for the use, or it is to be used as a lubricant. So this is the third step. So after completion of third step, the next step is the fourth step, where we have to go for the calculation of heat generated. So this is the one of the step here. Say here there are three important values that we have to know. So Hg is equal to F. F is COF, that is coefficient of friction, and W be the load acting on the bearing, that will be given. So and V is the velocity. V is the velocity. So this equation is available in data handbook, equation number 15.11a, page number 360 of the data handbook. So the equation V, velocity, is to be calculated here, pi dn by 60 into 1000, which is in meter per second. The first parameter that is calculated. W is known, and F is the COF, coefficient of friction, that we have to calculate now. So there are two possible equations. One is with respect to use of Petrov's equation, that is 15.4a, page number 353, page number 353 of the data handbook. Or it may be equation number 15.4b, page number 353 of the data handbook, and which is called as Mackey's equation, MC K double E, Mackey's equation. So to use Petrov's equation, it is to be clearly mentioned that the bearing is lightly loaded one. Suppose if the bearing is lightly loaded in and concentric journal bearing, so then we can use the Petrov's equation. So either it is to be specified as Petrov's equation, use Petrov's equation, or it may be a lightly loaded bearing. Both are same. So if it is said in the question paper or question statement as use Petrov's equation to determine the coefficient of friction, means you have to use the equation number 15.4a from page number 353 of the data handbook. Or it may be lightly loaded bearing. In that case also we have to make use of Petrov's equation itself, what we have derived in the last session. So F is equal to 2 pi square into 10 raised to minus 6 into Zn by P into R by C. So here pi is constant, Z is Newton second per meter square, N is RPS, and P is pressure, Newton per meter square, Newton per mm square, and R is radial clearance, radius of the journal, and C is radial clearance. So we have to use the separate values or individual values. They are to be substituted in the equation, not the recommended values. And P is in Newton per mm square, N is RPS, that is N by 60. Suppose if it is not mentioned about lightly loaded bearing or use of Petrov's equation, in that case we have to make use of heavily loaded condition. So there we have to make use of Mackey's equation. Mackey's equation used to determine the coefficient of friction F. So this is what the thing. And F is coefficient of friction and given by Ka into Zn by P into R by C into 10 raised to minus 10 plus delta F. So this is equation number 15.4b, page number 353. So this is the Mackey's coefficient of friction, or equation of coefficient of friction by using Mackey's equation, McKEE. And Ka is equal to 541.33 into beta. Beta is what? Beta is less than 360 degrees for partial bearings. For partial bearing. Suppose if the bearing is not specified as full bearing, fully loaded, in that case this equation is to be used and beta value is to be substituted here in terms of degrees, 120 degrees, 240 degrees, like that. And or Ka, so this value is related to partial bearing. So this is the equation or the particular value 0.195 into 10 raised to 6, that is to be used for the full bearings where the value of beta is 360 degrees, 0.195 into 10 raised to 6. So the next thing is pressure, which is in Newton per mm square, and small n is in RPS, and the C is radial clearance, capital R minus small r, and delta F is 0.002, and for which the L by D ratio is in between 0.75 and 2.8. And Hg is in terms of watts that we have to calculate, F into W into V. F is this value or this value, and W is given, and V is meter per second. So once you calculate heat generated, the next step is to go for the calculation of heat dissipated. So heat dissipated means the amount of heat that is discharged to the environment from the system or from the bearing housing. So the general expression is HD is equal to KH into A dash into TP minus TA, and this is available in equation page number 360. 15.11b is the equation number. So KH is the film coefficient, and which is given by m into v raised to 0.89, or directly we have to use 11.4 joule per second meter square degree centigrade. So for still air it is. So as the assumption that is made here, the discharge is to the air, that is convective heat transfer coefficient that we can say here. So convection is the process that takes place, so that we have to use the constant 11.4 as the KH value. Suppose if it is given anything other than the say specifically mentioned, in that case we have to use the specific condition itself, or we have to use directly 14.82 for a velocity of air which is 0.75 meter per second under normal conditions, or 2.5 meter per second for well ventilated conditions. And a area, say KH into A dash. A dash is the area of exposed area of bearing. So that is 20 into dl into 10 raised to minus 6, so which is in meter square. 10 raised to minus 6 is the conversion factor, and TA be the ambient temperature or room temperature, which is assumed here as 25 degrees centigrade. So that TB minus TA is given by T naught minus TA divided by 2, if it is not given. If it is given, that is well and good, that is bearing temperature minus ambient temperature. If both are known, then we can use directly TB minus TA here. Or if it TB ambient bearing temperature, if it is not given, then we can use T naught minus TA divided by 2. T naught minus TA divided by 2. T naught is operating temperature, which is assumed that TA is the room temperature 25 degrees centigrade. So divide that difference by 2, so that is the TB minus TA difference. So that, or otherwise we can calculate TB, and that you can substitute in the above equations and get the value of HD. Get the value of HD, that is heat dissipated, and compare the values of heat generated and heat dissipated. Suppose heat generated is more than the heat dissipated value, then we can write a conclusion that artificial cooling is required. That means excess heat is to be removed by means of providing any extra equipment. Suppose if heat generated is less and amount of heat dissipation is more, in that case no artificial cooling that is required, that we have to mention. When it is, when Hg is less than Hd. So the next step is to go for the calculation of minimum film thickness. Minimum film thickness is nothing but the minimum distance between the bearing and the journal. So, and its location, at which location the minimum film thickness is resulting. So minimum film thickness variable equation number 15.7a, page number 356. By using this, we can get the value of H naught by C plus H naught by C, or mean film thickness MFT variable. So to get this value, we have to refer some graph here. So before referring that graph, we want the Sommerfeld number. Sommerfeld number is given by S is equals to, without side leakage. So S is equal to R by C whole square Zn by P into 10 raised to minus 6 seconds per S per minute. That is 15.6a, page number 354. So by using the value of Sommerfeld number and the value of beta is 360 degrees here, because it is a full bearing. That is what given. If it is not less than, if it is not full bearing, then we have to use the specified value of beta. Now we have to consider the case of full bearing itself. So the value of S calculated and beta value 360 degrees. We have to refer figure number 15.9 of the data handbook and page number 356. So that there we will be having the h naught by c value. So once you get the h naught by c value, so it is to be multiplied by c, so that the value of h naught that we get here, that is what called as minimum film thickness. So minimum film thickness, to calculate minimum film thickness, we have to calculate the Sommerfeld number. And with respect to Sommerfeld number, we have to use the figure 15.9. From figure 15.9, based upon the Sommerfeld number and beta value, note down the value of h naught by c, and then you have to get the value of h naught by multiplying that value by c. So this is in mm. So after getting the minimum film thickness h naught, the location is to be calculated, which is called as altitude. So altitude is, or eccentricity ratio, E by C, is equal to cos phi, or 1 minus h naught by c. So by using h naught by c term here in the RHS, so 1 minus h naught by c term, and the inverse of that value gives the angle phi. So which is called as location, and available in page number 357 of the data handbook, equation number 15.7b. Next comes flow rate. So related to flow rate, Q is given by, so again here also there are two possible cases. Here with respect to Sommerfeld number calculation, without side leakage case itself we have to consider. And with respect to all other things, we have to consider or assume that there is no side leakage in the bearing. Therefore, only one equation. There are two equations, with side leakage and without side leakage. So without side leakage case itself, we have to consider, because we have to refer the graphs or the charts to note down some of the important parameters. Say by using equation number 15.8b, page number 358 of the data handbook. So Q equation that is written here, FLV, that is flow variable, multiplied by R, radius of the journal, multiplied by radial clearance C, N is the RPM, and L is the length of the bearing. So by using this equation, so we have to get the FLV first. So to get FLV, we have to calculate Sommerfeld number, no doubt, which is calculated in the previous step, R by C square into Zn by P into 10 raised to minus 6 S per minute. So by using this value, so by referring the figure number 15.3 of the data handbook, page number 358, so flow variable FLV, flow variable is to be noted. So this is to be noted based upon the similar case, S and beta. S is Sommerfeld number and beta is the angle. So the previous graph and this graph both are similar. Say here, with respect to the ordinate, the flow variable, they are noted, recorded, and with respect to abscissa, the value of S is to be represented. So that is Sommerfeld number. So, and there are number of curves that we can see here, that is representing the value of beta. So this is the beta curve. So the, with respect to 360 degrees and with respect to Sommerfeld number, where the value of these two that intersects on that respective value, you have to get the flow variable. So that flow variable is equal to what? Q divided by RC into NL. So by, for rearranging this equation itself, or by modifying this equation itself, FLV is equal to, these terms are taken to the LHS, so that Q divided by RC into N into L. So FLV is noted. So in the RHS only the unknown term is Q. So you can get the value of Q in meter cube, mmq per minute, mmq per minute. So this is the next important term, and after this, the power loss that is to be calculated. Power loss is nothing but the amount of heat generated, which is calculated, and divide that value by 1000, so that the answer you get here is in kilowatts itself. So this is what about the general procedure. So always with respect to the given problem statement, if it is a bearing which is to be designed for any kind of machinery, say as I said, centrifugal pump or reciprocating pump or steam turbine or any gas air compressor. In that case, we have to follow all these 8 steps. 8 steps. If it is a application oriented problem, say with respect to the fully loaded journal bearing, and to determine so and so, in that situation we have to carry out the some of the steps of this procedure, such as third step, fourth step, and a fifth step. Usually in some of the cases, third step is also not required. So first, second, and third steps are optional steps. So here what is written, uh, the notation of Z. So Z is Newton second per meter square. So, or it may be in terms of centipoise. So centipoise is to be converted into Newton second per meter square, right? So if it is given in centipoise, say suppose for example, uh, if it is 25 centipoise, so that is to be multiplied by 10 raised to minus 3. So 25 centipoise is equal to 25 into 10 raised to minus 3. So minus 3 is the conversion factor to get the value in Newton second per meter square. So this is what the conversion of centipoise to uh, Newton second per meter square. So 10 raised to minus 3 centipoise, 10 raised to minus 3 Newton second per meter square is 1 centipoise. So this is the thing that I want to discuss in today's session. So I hope you have followed the procedure. In the next session, I will take some of the examples or the problems uh, on the journal bearing. So thank you.